taking a break. There is a pause button, you know.
So, October has rolled around, and you know what that means? It's spooky season. And in accordance with the proper themes of the season, I will be doing 2 videos on spooky games, even if the second one ends up a little late to the party. But I already have 2 games I think fit the theme, so I'm doing it anyway because this is my channel, I do what I want. Regardless, today we're looking at a game from a few years ago that had a bit of fanfare when it came out before proceeding to disappear into obscurity almost immediately. Until just recently when it got a Switch port for some reason. Yeah, I was confused about that one too. Either way, let's take a dive into the world of the supernatural pulp fiction with zombies, skeletons, mummies, and more. This is Strange Brigade.
Oh, typical. These armored assailants have brought shields, the bounders.
So before I get into the actual graphics of this game, I just want to point out that when you click play, it first opens up a launcher, giving you the choice to launch the game using either Vulkan or DirectX for your graphics. Never choose Vulkan. I tried a few times and all it did was make the game stutter and eventually just outright crash. I don't know anything about Vulkan, but it seems very unstable overall. Just launch it using DirectX, that one seems to work fine for me. One thing I did notice overall is that the graphics put a weird amount of strain on my computer. Even on lower settings, the game will run fine, but my computer fans will get noticeably louder, specifically with this game. And in the process of gathering footage, I noticed OBS constantly warning me that the encoding was overloading. It hasn't really hurt the performance of the game, and my computer's fine. Those are just some things to note. Beyond that, the game actually looks really good. It's a really good mix between detailed, realistic graphics, as well as having a slight flair to it that ensures it doesn't come off as dated later on. And the environments are great. The Egyptian architecture merging with the Amazonian-looking jungle is a really good portrayal of just how nonsensical the old Pulp Fiction comics the game is based on really were. It makes absolutely no sense for Egyptian structures to be buried deep inside thick jungles, but it looks cool and makes for neat set pieces, which is really all that this style of old fiction ever really cared about. So I find it rather fitting. Beyond that, the music is actually pretty good. It's roughly half oldies style action music and tribal jungle music, which makes the exploration and combat much more engaging than it otherwise would be. Although, most of the soundtrack seems to be very hard to find. At least on YouTube. I try searching that up, I barely get any results for it. Now, that would beg the next question. What are we even doing here?
Safely back in the skies above Egypt, the Strange Brigade ponder their next move.
Where are we off to now? Too much to warp its back to Blighty.
Back to Blighty, the cheek of it!
I'm afraid not, Gracie. The existence of the soul cage object you found means Sateki is already more powerful than we could have feared possible.
But someone stopped her before.
Yes, the goddess Wadjet, protector of life. According to the texts we've translated, her priests were the sworn enemies of Sateki and led the rebellion against her.
Oh, they sound fun!
Then we have allies in our fight.
Well, the cult of Wadjet died out long ago.
Damn it!
But it is possible they left behind them artifacts they'd use to overthrow the Witch Queen.
Oh, how jolly useful.
We're en route to what was once the center of worship of Wadjet. Search the site and recover anything useful against Sateki and her soul cage devices.
Long-forgotten evil threatens the world, but a nice spot of tomb plundering should give the Strange Brigade the means to put a stop to it. Onwards, to the tunnels of Wadjet.
As it is with everything in this game, the story is about as Pulp Fiction-y as you can get. Set in a vague, alternate timeline where metal airships are a thing, you play as the members of the intrepid explorers known as the Strange Brigade, going on adventures in various tombs, caverns, and otherwise ancient Egyptian ruins in the middle of the jungle to defeat the evil Witch Queen Sateki and her undead army before they can rise to wreak havoc across the world. Again, this story is completely silly and that works to its advantage. The game needs an excuse for you to run around shooting mummies and skeletons, and an evil undead pharaonic witch queen is a fine excuse to do it. It also adds to the theme park feel of this game. That's sort of how I've been feeling about this game overall. It's not necessarily a normal video game, it's a theme park in the form of a video game. The story is used to put you in levels with cool looking set pieces and bring you around to boss fights, all meant to spook you and give you a feeling of adventure. But beyond that, there's not really much to talk about. So, let's get into how the adventure plays out.
Plagues upon your houses. My mightiest warriors will tear you to shreds.
Oh, well, isn't she charming? Best deal with her right quick, strange brigade. Take a bow, Brigade. Another perilous mission magnificently accomplished.
Strange Brigade is a third-person horde shooter, plain and simple. It's got some action-adventure bits in it with collectibles and little puzzles spread throughout each level that give you extra gold and even more collectibles, but most of the time you'll be fighting your way through hordes of various kinds of skeletons and mummified warriors to reach the boss at the end. The game is supposed to be played in 4-player co-op like Left 4 Dead, but the game itself is pretty dead, especially with that default price tag, so your chances of finding even a single rando is pretty rare. But I did meet one dude along the way. He was pretty cool. In combat, you have a rifle with limited ammo, a pistol with infinite ammo, a recharging grenade ability, and an amulet ability that's powered up by killing enemies. The gameplay feels fine on its own, but a lot of the attempts at depth feel really half-baked. For instance, ammo is basically meaningless. You can technically run out of ammo for the rifle since it's your main gun, but enemies sometimes drop ammo, and ammo refill bags and checkpoints are plentiful, so it's really nothing to worry about unless all you ever do is mindlessly spray and pray while looking in the other direction. There's not much variety to the guns either. A pistol is a basic pistol no matter which one you pick. The rifle ranges from automatic to semi-auto to sniper rifle and the occasional shotgun, but they all sort of feel the same, just with different fire rates. You can augment your guns with runes to improve them, but the improvements feel marginal at best. The game encourages you to use the environment to dispatch large swaths of the enemy horde rather than just trying to gun them down, but it usually just boils down to explosive barrels and very obvious traps that you just have to use at the right time. There is some enemy variety, from your basic shamblers to fire-slinging mummies to shield mummies to spear mummies, but aside from, say, the shield mummies, dispatching them is as easy as getting a headshot. At least with the shield mummies, you have to get behind them or use explosives since they like to huddle together and are always turning towards you. The puzzles are similar in that way as well. Most just boil down to finding the answer hidden in the environment and then shooting the corresponding symbols on the puzzle itself. I really like how well everything is blended into the environment, but that seems to be where most of the effort went, rather than actually giving any of the gameplay more depth beyond run and shoot. And really, that's my problem with this game overall. It's not that I didn't have fun playing it, I really did, but everything about the game is very surface level and can get really repetitive after a while. And overall, that's the main problem and is probably why this video is going to end up being a bit shorter than the last one. Because there's just really not that much to talk about. It's all very surface level and repeating the same thing over and over.
Arise, Tiberian! Arise and destroy these meddling mortals!
Avast, ye scurvy dogs! Let's be having ye!
Back again? This fellow's more persistent than my tailor and all his claims for unpaid bills.
And that's really the main way I would describe this game. Repetitive. The game looks absolutely stunning, but every level amounts to the same loop of run forward, loot stuff, fight a horde, do a basic puzzle, repeat until boss. The game is fun, but it's a very surface level fun that you really need friends to truly make it an experience worth anything. And considering this game is priced at $50 right out the gate despite being a bit older and clearly dead, it's really hard to try and convince any of your friends to get it. Now, the only reason I even have it is because I saw it was like $7 during a Steam sale. Honestly, I think a lot of the problems of this game could easily be excused if they dropped the price way down. If this was like a $15 to $20 AA game at most, it would feel way more acceptable. But $50? almost retail price, the same price as major AAA titles? Absolutely not. That is unacceptable. If you're gonna try getting it, 1, make sure some friends are involved, and 2, only get it during a Steam sale when it's like $7. This has been TheRatMan, and I will see you all later. And last but not least, a special thank you shout out to my Patreon with a $5 a month pledge is Punch McLarge Huge. Thank you for the $5.